Hi guys, it's Jody from An Eye for Beauty, and today is Sunday, April 16th, 2022. And this message is for this week or whenever it is that you are hearing this message. I'm pulling our 3 cards on camera now, so decide if you would like to go with card number 1, which is this one, card number 2, which is this one, and let's get our card number 3. Okay. Now, I'm working with the Dreams Oracle, and I'm using these cards today because many people have been telling me that they are having really random, crazy kind of dreams that don't make sense. And so one of the things that is definitely going on is that we have been bogged down for so long, and we are starting to open up our awareness. We are starting to lift the veil, or we are in the midst of doing that in a very deep way. And the more that you are connecting inwardly, whether you realize it or not, when you are in that unconscious state of sleep, that is when true, meaningful inspiration through dreams can come through, because you're not in control. You know, we're so in control as humans of our day-to-day, of what we think, of how we act, of what we will let into our mind space or into our space and what we will not. That when we're sleeping, it's easier for it to come in. Now, some of those dreams might make absolutely no sense, but what I always recommend is keep a dream journal by your nightstand. And as soon as you wake up, if you actually remember bits and pieces, because sometimes you remember nothing, well, write it down. It doesn't have to be complete sentences, but write it down, because as you continue to write down the information, there will be a message in there if you allow it to develop as you continue the process. So I wanted to go to these cards and see what they had to share with us for the middle of April of 2023, or when you are listening to this message. So we're going to start with our first card, which is a dreams card. And the card says, it's not in focus here, schools and exams. Okay, so in what areas do you feel inadequate? Are you constantly competing with others? Are you in the process of evaluating yourself? That's the first card. So don't get caught up in the schools and exams part of it. I wanted to keep this card up for you guys if I could get it in there. Okay. Don't get caught up in that, but what I do want to say to you to begin is we are on Earth School, and we are learning through life experience so much. And we are more open to it in the year 2003 than we have ever been before. The more that the months and the years go by, the more that we are allowing ourselves to realize a lot of things that were going on in society that we were blinded to. So it's funny that this card comes up as card number 1, because I was recently just looking at some of the other Oracle decks, and one of the cards that I pulled happened to be about giving yourself grace. So what is the first thing that it says? It says, where do you feel inadequate? We live in a society right now where everyone is in competition with others. Everybody is trying to better themselves by doing things to themselves that are not even natural. Why? Why are we in this state right now of not feeling good enough, of not feeling adequate enough, of not feeling deserving enough, of not feeling loved? Why are we running away from the person, the human, the being that we came on this earth to be? Why are we getting caught up? Why aren't we allowing ourselves to be free from any of these attitudes that are potentially holding us back? What resonated with you in what I just said? What made sense if you chose card number 1? Where can you unshackle the chains that are around you, that are binding you from being the person that you truly want to be? And why are you getting caught up in any of those things that are making you feel inadequate? Now, for the people that chose card number 1, I asked you a lot of questions. I didn't maybe give you a lot of answers, but I really can't, because this is a general reading. And if you chose card number 1, there is definitely time you need to take to reflect and contemplate whatever questions either triggered you when I said them, pissed you off when I said them, or made you think. We are heading into Mercury retrograde on April 22nd, and it lasts until May 15th. Mercury retrograde is a good time to reflect. Take the time, write down on a piece of paper, get a blank piece of paper, and maybe rewind this. And whatever question I asked that bothered you, triggered you, pissed you off, or made you think, write it down and start to think about that. Where in your life do you try to fit in versus just be you? That is important for you to start to look at. And that is card number 1. Oh, one more thing I want to say. The number here is the number 14, 1 and 4. The number 1 signifies standing on your own 2 feet, being independent of anybody else. And the number 4 is building a solid, firm foundation. So what does that mean about what I just said? What it means is it's time for you to look at where you're following along and realize that you have everything you need right inside of you. You know, if you're like middle-aged, let's say, why don't you love yourself exactly as you are? Why don't you give yourself grace? You are growing older. You are growing wiser. Why are you maybe too hard on yourself and feel you need to take this pill or do this injection or do this to yourself in order to feel better about yourself? Why don't you love yourself exactly as you are? These are questions to be asking yourself, no matter what age you are, no matter what you're going through at this time. Card number 2. So card number 2 is the Weather and Natural Events card. And the card said, what is urgently going on in your life? What is making you feel overwhelmed and making you feel out of control? Are you worried about how you might survive a major change in your life or a major event, or maybe like, let's say, a weather event? And the number is the number 9. So the number 9 represents endings. So is something happening in your life where an ending or something is coming to an end, and you're afraid that it's going to cause chaos and it's going to cause issues for you? This card is really asking you to look at that and do maybe something in a different way, or take a new route on what you're working on right now. Because there is always, when we have endings, new beginnings coming in. I'm reading the card, but I can't see the card. Where do you feel out of control? Because a lot of times when we feel out of control, what happens is we feel this like chaos happening in our lives. And I want you to think about where in your life are you feeling a little bit of chaos. But sometimes we need the chaos to reveal to us the truth. And sometimes we need the chaos because that makes us realize how we're holding on so tightly to something. And if we allow ourselves to let go to whatever struggles are happening in our lives, let go of the control, surrender, give up the fight, what happens is something ends because we are no longer resisting what is out of our control. And what emerges is this beautiful new beginning. And the new beginning is not tumultuous, but it's actually more of green pastures. So if you look at the card, we have this on this side, but then we have like the sun is trying to come out and the green grass is brightening up on the other side. Where are you right now in your life? Are you in the midst of the chaos and that's what's going on in the mind chatter? Or are you relinquishing control, surrendering and leaning into whatever it is that you're experiencing? Because when you do that is when the light is able to finally come in and shine through. Go back to our first card. We are on Earth School. Think of all of these different things you might be experiencing, or the one you're experiencing right now, as an exam. It's a test. It's something that you need to go through, as uncomfortable as it is, in order to get to this side, in order to learn something. Open yourself up and allow yourself to go through the process. Relinquish control. That is card number 2. And card number 3 is a pretty card, is the play card. And the play card says, find time to incorporate play into your everyday life. Allow your inner child to experience joy. You deserve to be happy and be joyful around others. And this is another 9 card, 4 plus 5. So 4 is that foundational card, building a new structure. 5 is changes occurring in your life. But this is a great positive card showing you that maybe you've been too serious. Maybe you need to lighten up a little bit. Maybe you need to allow your inner child to come out and play, to experience joy. Maybe you need to open yourself up to allow yourself to do that. Maybe you need to look at areas in your life where you are too rigid, where you can be more flexible, where you can bring in playtime, where you can go out in nature. You know, play doesn't need to be that you're like going out with a bunch of people, and it could simply be you just sitting in front of the TV, watching a movie that makes you laugh, like really laugh. That is so powerful for your mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional being. So what areas, what can you bring into play? Of course, you could take a vacation. Of course, you could do something creative. Of course, you could take a leap of faith and do something that you've never done before, that you've always wanted to do. Or maybe it's just simply doing something simple, something small, but something that brings the light out from your inside out and brings you into the shining more than you ever have before, and allows you to drop the barriers and allows you to open up the heart and allows you to really show the world who you really are, and allows you to see that when you take a risk, because when we are in a place of rigidness or inflexibility, sometimes it's hard to get out of that controlling pattern and play. But when you allow yourself to drop the barriers and do it, on the other side of it, it feels so good. And it was risky before you started it. And when you were done, you will feel like, I could do this again and again and again. And that's how more play will enter into your life. So we have some work to do, whether you chose card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3, of course. But what it's going to do for all of us is it's going to help us get more and more connected to our spirit guides, to our higher self, and to all the parts of ourselves that maybe we had closed off for a very long time. I wish you guys a great week, and we will speak soon. Take care. Bye-bye.